Hey guys, my name's Nova, this is Film Express, and I'm so excited to be here talking to you today about one of my absolute favorite films of 2024, Brady Corbet's The Brutalist. Let's dive right in. Guys, I want to take a second and apologize. It's been a little while since I've done a video. I was actually traveling all throughout Vietnam, and I also did a stop in Hong Kong just around the holidays, so I'm back. I'm getting settled back into the rhythm of things. I'm still fighting a little bit of jet lag, but I really wanted to talk to you today about this absolute masterpiece of a movie, The Brutalist. It seems like through the fire and the ashes of an industry up in flames, we're getting the rising of a phoenix with Brady Corbet's The Brutalist. This is a masterful and exquisitely cinematic view at the post-World War II immigrant experience, and I find that was such a fascinating theme. But the film touches upon a lot of themes as well. We get a strong focus on the American dream through the eyes of new immigrants. We get a strong and critical view at anti-Semitism. It also provides a window into the ugly nature of the upper class. It uses brutalist architecture as a metaphor and an allegory. It talks about building our lives up and building the structures around our lives, the process of building from conception to execution, the construction and the deconstruction of a life, and placing value less on the destination but learning to appreciate the journey and the building blocks that got us there. All of these work together to craft such a fascinating original story that is powerful, impactful, engaging, and ultimately an artistic masterpiece in my eyes. This film really channels the best from the best. You can really see that Brady Corbet's been pulling from fascinating and strong inspirations such as the works of Paul Thomas Anderson and Michael Haneke. And in my opinion, this is absolutely one of the best films of the 2020s. And I don't say this lightly, this really gave me There Will Be Blood vibes all throughout the film. And if you guys know anything about me, There Will Be Blood is actually my #1 favorite film of all time. And there's rarely ever been a film that has ever come close to achieving the impact that There Will Be Blood had on me. Brutalist is very, very close to that, and I'm very, very proud to say that. This is an exceptionally written screenplay, and it serves as a reminder of the power of traditional narratives. And I feel like in the 2020s, we are having so many forces that are actively trying to kill those traditions. Corbet and Fast Void, they really knocked us out of the park. This was exceptional in every sense of the word, from the dialogue to the character writing to the plotting and pacing. Everything, in my opinion, was near flawless, if not flawless. Every single scene was held to a high regard, and you could see that they had a very specific vision and very specific goal with the story, and I really truly believe that they achieved that. If I have to be really, really critical, with the screenplay, I really think that the second half and the finale kind of lost a little bit of the steam that was set up by the first half. In fact, this film has an intermission, which is so rare to see these days, but I thought it was so tastefully done. It's just unfortunate that after you come back from the intermission, you get a really dialogue heavy and exposition filled third act. In my opinion though, those scenes were still really well written, and they prioritized character and plot. There was no fluff, in my opinion. I also think that the dialogue is always witty and interesting and lyrical, passionately written, and very sharp. It seems like it was all gas, no breaks, no filler, and to me, I really have to applaud that. I really still think that they could have stripped some of that back in the third act, because everything that we see on screen is already so powerful, so I really don't think that we needed all that dialogue. It almost felt a little bit jarring, considering the first and second acts, or the first half of the film, is very much focusing on the technique of show don't tell. Still, the story is massive in scale and in scope, and it encapsulates a wealth of experience throughout its runtime. It's really surprising to me that it's an original story because it's so novelesque in ways. It reminds me of some of the great literary works of all time. It masterfully employs show don't tell, emotional and visual foreshadowing, a narrative restraint, and a mature, elegant approach that even presents the most shocking scenes with grace and tender care. The ending was, in my opinion, a conceptual grand slam. It could have been the icing on the cake. I'm just still not sure if I really fully agree with the flavor of the icing, if we can say it like that. I believe it kind of wrapped itself up a little bit too neatly with a strong message, albeit that, but still, it can lose some viewers for sure, so I definitely want to put it out there. But in my opinion, still, it's not enough for me to dock The Brutalist any marks. To me, this was still such an exceptional piece of work. Corbet's directorial style here is confident, mature, and reminds me of an auteur working at the highest level of craft. There are some creative choices here that literally had my jaw to the floor. I was incredibly surprised with how much artistic vision was evident in almost every frame. He managed to make a 215-minute movie with a $10 million budget that looks and feels like a 2-hour film with 10 times the finances and the resources. And all the while, he's always sprinkling in some new techniques, visually triumphant displays of skill and craft. There's incredible compositions, fantastic editing transitions that are always mindful of the scene that came before and the scene that came after. The way he handles emotional beats is extremely mature, raw, organic, and in my opinion, super powerful. There are time jumps in the narrative that never feel forced and never feel contrived. It's always done with purpose. The mise-en-scène, the actors on camera, everything was very much at the control of Corbet's vision. And I think, in my opinion, there's nothing more you can ask for from a director. You can very much tell that Brady Corbet is a student of film and film history, a lover of film, and he's a person who's been surrounded with and worked with some of the greatest directors of all time. In the past 20 years, he's probably learned and picked up so many incredible techniques from them. It's very much evident on the screen here. And he's flexing all these types of techniques and incredible moments of skill that you can't really learn in film school. You can only learn from having done it or seen it or been around it, in my opinion. This man has worked with the greats, and it shows in every single moment of this film. In my opinion, the musical score here was tremendous. It's the best of 2024 in my true opinion. We're graced with some of the most melodic and haunting compositions of the year. Also, the score always is elevating the imagery. What we're seeing on screen works hand in hand with the music to give us some powerful raw moments that not only at an emotional level, but also the melodies themselves are telling a story. And that's really the true sign of a genius work of art. It's that it's all working hand in hand, but taken away from the film itself and taken away from the overall project itself, they can stand on their own and tell you a story and make you feel those same things. I really think that Daniel Blumberg is a phenomenal composer, and I'm so impressed with the way he imbued this film with some haunting and incredible music. I don't really think I need to mention it too much because you've probably heard all the hype, but the cast in The Brutalist is stellar, exceptional, all operating at a top tier, top shelf level of skill. It's a true powerhouse collection of talent. In my opinion, the best ensemble cast of 2024, easily, like hands down. They all bring high levels of nuance to their character. Each introduction and each interaction feels iconic and considered and masterful in a sense. You have very, very deep text, and I'm sure the actors all had so much to pull from, but it's also how they put their own spin on things that makes this really, really stand out in my opinion. This is an incredible collective of performers, but at the anchor of everything, at the center of everything, Adrien Brody is carrying this film with a heavy weight on his shoulders, and it's his transformative turn as Laszlo here that gives him the edge. In my opinion, the best performance of 2024, hands down, and I really do think that he deserves an Oscar for this. In my opinion, he's the front runner at this point. I can't really think of anybody else who would maybe come close. The Timothée Chalamet's performance in Dune 2 was quite good, absolutely, but I don't think it's even close to this level, because Adrien Brody, he was vulnerable, he was honest, he is a chameleon in a sense, and to me it was just a joy to watch him chew up the scenery with this film. It's all thanks to the writing in a sense, because Laszlo's character is written with such precision, his arc is so meticulous and so considered, it tugs at your heartstrings, it's super emotional, but it's also displaying a full understanding of the types of horrors that immigrants can go through when they're trying to uphold the American dream. And I think that because the character is written so well, Adrien Brody had so much to work with, and he had so much to operate within in terms of emotions and acting moments, that he really shined in all of them. It's written for a great actor, and Adrien Brody was the right person for this. He absolutely crushed it, in my opinion. I really think he deserves the Oscar for this. In terms of the craft in every other department of filmmaking, I really think the cinematography, the editing, the production design, the locations, Everything is operating at a high level. It's some of the best I've seen in years. It truly reminds me of like the golden era of Hollywood, like the late 90s, early 2000s, where every production, regardless of the budget, they were all operating with such tender care at giving us films that are worth a damn. And you know what? I can't say the same about a lot of 2020s films in general. We have films with super high budgets, 100 million, 200 million, that often look terrible, that often look like they're not going to age well. In my opinion, The Brutalist is a film that could have been made in the 70s, 90s, 2000s, and it's made now in 2024 to remind us that classical Hollywood cinema was the golden key. It was the golden standard, you know? Narrative cinema like this was what we should all strive for, in my opinion. Of course, there's always different tastes and different intentions with art, but in my opinion, we've strayed so far away from this in recent years that it's so refreshing to see The Brutalist operate like this and operate at this level very well. I'm just so happy that I was able to witness it on a big screen. I think it's one of those films that you need to see on the big screen. There are some visuals here that, again, they had me in awe, pure and simple. I'm just really blessed and really grateful that we got this film this year. I really want to thank Brady Corbet for giving us this masterpiece. In my opinion, it's one of the best films of 2024, but it's also one of my favorite films in years. It's very much made its way into my top 250 films of all time. I don't exactly know where, but it's very, very strong. I give it like a 9.5 out of 10, and I say that confidently. It's one of those films that, regardless of the runtime, I can't wait to watch over again and again and again. I think there's going to be so much to learn from this movie. As a writer and a filmmaker myself, I just can't wait. I think that this is going to be one of those very rewarding experiences and rewarding films for the art form. And you know what? I was about ready to give up on A24. I think the past couple of years they've been making some absolute stinkers. They've become essentially the type of studio that they used to fight against. They lived long enough to see themselves become the villain. They're becoming more commercial, more mainstream, and a lot of their films are rushed to production, I can very much tell. But just about the time I was ready to give up on them, they release, in my opinion, what is one of their top 5, top 10 best films in their whole catalog. And you know what? I see that there's a lot of discourse about some very, very minor, mind you, use of artificial intelligence in this film. And a lot of people are using that slight use of AI as a reason to tear down this film and what this film has accomplished. For me, I think people are very welcome to have that stance, especially when it comes to something like this. I just know that anyone who is using AI in their films, just be transparent, just be honest. I've written reviews about that movie Late Night with the Devil that came out a few months ago, and it was very, very disheartening to learn that they used AI, but they also kept it a secret. They didn't really tell people until people discovered it, and they used AI in a way that, you know, they could have hired artists and graphic designers from even Fiverr to do the bare minimum poster designs and marketing designs that they use for Late Night with the Devil. In The Brutalist, they used AI for some slight help with architectural designs, but it's so minor. It's basically blink and you miss it. And I can understand why they would do this. With a $10 million budget, I can't imagine them having to hire an architect to design these very simple designs that are essentially in one shot or two shots of the film. In my opinion, that would have been a big chunk of the budget, and it's really not realistic. I think that ultimately the use of AI does not detract from how impactful and how incredible this film is. I really think that as long as filmmakers are transparent, and as long as they're using it for things that they could not potentially hire humans or artists to do and pay them handsomely to do so, then it's completely fair. Personally, I'm not the type to use AI in my works, but I can't deny that the industry is very clearly making a shift towards normalizing the use of AI. So I think that the sooner that we come to terms with that, the sooner that we can stop ripping on movies for doing it, and we can start discerning whether the use is ethical or unethical. And I think that the use here in The Brutalist was ethical. So in my opinion, guys, The Brutalist is an absolute masterpiece, a 9.5 out of 10. One of the best movies of the year. It's in my top 3 of 2024, just behind Dune 2, because Dune 2 achieves all this as well, but it's super entertaining, and I've seen it 6 times, and I still never get tired of that film. So in my opinion, We'll only have to wait and see how The Brutalist ages, but I think it's going to be one of those films that is going to age gracefully and enter itself into the upper echelon of the films of the 2020s. So guys, my name's Nova. That was my review of The Brutalist. Please like, please subscribe, please also hit that notification bell, and please drop some comments below. Let me know what you thought of The Brutalist. Did you like it? Does the use of AI bother you? Did you think it was a waste of time? Did you think it was too long? Let's discuss. I would love to have some conversations about this film because it's truly a work of art in my opinion, and I can't wait to talk about it and share these thoughts with everybody. So guys, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.